All right, we are live in beautiful sunny Florida, and today, fight fans, we're going to be breaking down UFC Vegas 28, Rosenstrike versus Sakai in the heavyweight division. Main and co-main event is a heavyweight fight to Saturday night. We got Walt Harris versus Tabiora in the co-main. Guys, this card is pretty good for a fight night. Like two of my very favorite prospects are on this card: Miguel Baeza, Mason Jones. Even got guys like Yusuf Zalal, Sean Woodson. I think that's a very good fight. This card ain't bad at all. Dushko Todorovic and Gregory Rodriguez, that has fireworks literally written all over it. I got 4 bets on this card. I'm excited for the Draftkings slate. Let's get into it, man. We had a break last week that was no fun for any of us. And now we're back. We're back in action. 14 fights I'm looking at here. Damn. All right. 14 fights. Let's get right into it with the first fight of the night. Claudio Puelles taking on Jordan Levitt. Jordan Levitt is a minus 195 favorite. Puelles, you can get plus 170. Yeah, I mean, Jordan Levitt probably should be the favorite here. I think his jiu-jitsu is far better than anything Claudio Puelles does. It's just kind of like Puelles is what, 24, 25 years old. He's been in the UFC for a couple of years now. He's not very active, but like that should be like a cause for concern whether you want to bet either side on this fight. Like you could totally expect to see an improved version of Claudio Puelles. Maybe you could see the same old guy. Maybe he's not improving because he's not getting enough cage time. I'm just not sure. At least I like the fact that he's moved to the States and he's getting some good training over there. I believe he went to Sanford, I want to say. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like Levitt came through for me big last time. I put him in a big parlay, big juice, big favorite against Matt Wyman, but like yeah, I'm a lot more willing to fade a guy in Matt Wyman who is ancient versus a guy in Puelles who's very young, could make improvements. And not only that, like I'm not sold on Levitt striking either. So if we get a situation where maybe Puelles is able to keep this standing, like I'm just not going to be sure that Jordan Levitt wins this fight. So I think it's a clear pass. Jordan Levitt deserves to be the favorite, so I will pick him, and I'll even pick him to win by third round submission. But it's a pass fight from a betting perspective. Moving on to the next one, here we go. We got my first bet of the night here. We got Yusuf Zalal. He's taking on Woodson. Sean Woodson currently sits as a minus 175 favorite. I see plus 155 on Yusuf Zalal. I put 3 units on the underdog Yusuf Zalal plus 160. I basically think I'm just getting the better fighter here at plus 160. Like I understand how Woodson could be the favorite. Like he is I believe he is the tallest guy in the weight class with the longest reach. Not only that, this might not even be the right weight class for Zalal. Zalal arguably could be a bantamweight, so I think the size it's a concern, especially when I think Yusuf's biggest path to victory here is wrestling, and yeah, it's not easy to wrestle a guy that's so much bigger than you. So I don't think this is going to be smooth sailing for Zolal or anything. I just think the line's off for a guy that I think has a wrestling advantage. Zolal's landed a lot of takedowns in the UFC, actually. So let me look at this stat here. I had it pulled up a second ago. So Zalal does average 2.4 takedowns per fight. He got 6 in his UFC debut. Even in his last fight against Sung Woo Choi, who, by the way, is another really big featherweight, he got 3 takedowns against him. He got 3 takedowns against Peter Barrett. I mean, so we're talking about a guy with double-digit takedowns in the UFC without that many fights. So he can wrestle, and he's been doing it against the featherweights. And that is Sean Woodson's biggest weakness, in my opinion. Like, clear, like, not even just clear, like, just mind-blowing weakness. Like, it's really, really bad. Even if you go back to Contender Series, this dude, I think he was Alaskan even, and we know how those Alaskans are in MMA. They have a long way to go. This dude was wrestling Sean Woodson pretty hard. He was losing. Like, it was looking like Woodson would be a major bust, and then it's just like flying knee out of nowhere. He got the knee, stopped the takedown with that, knocked the guy out. Sure, good job for sure. Let's see how you do in the UFC. Yeah, he was able to beat Kyle Bochniak. By the way, Kyle Bochniak got a takedown that fight. Bochniak no longer in the UFC. He's a bum. Next fight against Juliana Rosa. Juliana Rosa. I mean, it wasn't smooth sailing. It was tough early on for Rosa. I mean, it is what it is. Like you're gonna have to go through some shit against a 6'2" featherweight for sure. But as soon as Arosa was able to get his game going, it was smooth sailing for him. So I mean, 3 takedowns in that fight. Got the sub, good finish. I don't know if Zalal is going to necessarily finish Sean Woodson, but man, even if he gets those 2 takedowns that he does average in the UFC, I feel like that might be enough to win 2 rounds right there. Not only that, I don't think it's some complete mismatch on the feet for Sean Woodson. Like, yeah, Sean Woodson has better hands. He's way bigger. He's longer, hits harder. But Yusuf Salal's faster. He's the better athlete. He's probably the better kicker. And I feel like with Sean Woodson probably being worried about the takedowns, it's not gonna let him be as flowy in there, as confident. He might not let his hands go, is what I'm saying, especially after a bad loss. And Yusuf Salal, you can say what you want about his last 2 losses, but like, I mean, Ilya Taporia, he's gonna be a top 10 guy. Sung Woo Choi, I forget who he's fighting next. It's a big fight, but I think if he wins that fight, he's like a top 20 guy. So like, Zalal's not losing at slouches. He's losing to very good fighters. Yeah, I mean, I would understand if somebody were to pick Woodson in this spot. I just think at plus 160, you got some value on Zalal, so I'm happy to take it. 3 units plus 160. Let's go. I'll pick Zalal by unanimous decision. Moving on to the next fight, we got a new one. Manon Fierro taking on Tabitha Ritchie. I mean, yeah, so Fierro is a, if I can see the odds here, it's like gigantic. It keeps climbing, minus 525. So I looked up this girl Tabitha Ritchie. By the way, Fierro was supposed to fight Marina Moroz. That was a great fight. Now we get a new replacement. Tabitha Ritchie, I looked her up. She's in good shape. She's jacked. She's a black belt. But then when you really look into it, she's really small. She hasn't fought anybody. Like all the opponents she fought were absolute trash. Hasn't seen nowhere near this level. She's fighting at the wrong weight class. I understood very quickly why Fierro is a minus 500 in this spot. I think she cruises, probably even gets a TKO. She's got above average power for a woman. So I will take Fierro to handle this girl accordingly. I'll say first or second round TKO. So moving on to the next one. Here's my big one, guys. I'm excited for this. So we got Mason Jones. He's taking on Alon Patrick. Mason Jones minus 310. Alon Patrick plus 250. Yeah, I mean, so it's funny. I was kind of skeptical about Mason Jones coming into the UFC. I've been skeptical about a lot of Cage Warriors guys, not gonna lie, but man, that fight with Mike Davis was so impressive. Not only is it like easily top 2 or 3 fights of the year so far, could even put it at 1. I had it at 1 at one point. Um, man, Mason Jones has the things that you can't teach. He's got the heart, he's got the toughness. I mean, dude's got the fighting spirit, absolutely super durable. His pace is unreal. His cardio is great. He's well rounded. He's a black belt. He can box. His defensive boxing isn't the greatest, but like, I mean, what green fighter's defensive boxing is the greatest? Like, it's got to come. It's gonna come along, and I feel like if anything, that fight with Mike Davis was a great learning experience for Mason Jones, and I expect him to look even better this time. I love this kid's mindset too. You listen to his interviews; he's got a great mind for the sport, very confident in himself, and I see this kid having a bright future. And I feel like the UFC kind of hooked him up here. They stuck him with another prospect last fight. Mike Davis, that dude was a beast. I think Mike Davis exceeded expectations in that fight. Like it was looking really bad for Mike Davis at one point. We kind of thought Mason Jones was going to take over, and then Mike Davis got like a second wind. He looked amazing. I think Mike Davis has a very bright future as well. But I kind of forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, Mason Jones showed a lot in that fight. And with Alon Patrick, this is we're no longer dealing with another young prospect like Mike Davis in the last one. We're dealing with an aging, older. I mean, what is Alon Patrick? Is he 40 years old? I have a good feeling he might be 40 years old. If not, he's probably at least 38. Watch him be 34. He's 37. Okay, I thought he was a little older, but like, I mean, you watch him in that Bobby Green fight, he sure as hell looked like a 40-year-old. Wasn't good. Didn't have the same kind of explosion, athleticism. I mean, he's supposed to be a wrestler. That's what he does. He's a grinder. He was a hell of a grinder back in the day, but like Bobby Green completely owned him at his own game, and it was just a horrible look. And I just feel like Mason Jones is going to have him beat on the feet here. This is one of the few times Mason Jones' defensive boxing flaws might not come into play just because Alon Patrick doesn't have boxing. He just kind of has these flashy strikes, low percentage, low volume strikes. So I favor Mason Jones heavily on the feet. It's just kind of all about is Alan Patrick going to be able to do his thing, get takedowns, hold him down, and maybe he can get a takedown or two. Maybe he can get a little bit of top control, but man, I do like what I saw from Mason Jones on the ground. He is a black belt. I feel like he can make Alon Patrick work a lot. I'm just not convinced Alon Patrick would be able to keep it up for 3 rounds. I kind of feel like Mason would just make him work enough to the point where he gasses out, and that's probably what's going to happen. There's a huge cardio description, difference here. Yeah, so that's kind of how I see it going. I see Mason kind of busting him up on the feet to start. Patrick landing some takedowns, maybe he just gets stuffed and smoked right away. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he gets a takedown or two. Mason makes him work as the time goes on. Patrick will slow down. Mason Jones will speed up, and he will put it on him and finish him in the second or third round. So I'm going to go with Mason Jones. I will say second round TKO. And I have 3 units on him to win inside the distance at plus 110. And I have another 3 units on Mason Jones and a parlay with somebody later in the card. So I do have a total of 6 units on Mason Jones. It's only the second time this year I've had more than 4 units on a fighter. The only other one being Merab Dvalishvili versus Cody Stamen. That was a winner. We're going to hope to keep these big bets going. So yeah, all in on Mason Jones, 6 units. Obviously, Draftkings, I think he'll be a good play there as well. So I am all aboard the Mason Jones train. Let's fucking go. Moving on to the next fight, we got Francisco Trinaldo taking on Muslim Salakhov. Yeah, I mean, I'm not crazy about this fight. I know Muslim's not the oldest guy in the world. He's only like, what, 35, 36? Something like that. 36. Yeah, I mean, so we got two kind of older guys. One of them's even moving up to Trinaldo's moving up to 170. I think it might even be for the first time in his career too. Maybe not. Maybe he made his UFC debut at 170. I can't remember. I think he has fought at 70 before. Either way, he's a lightweight. Salakov is going to have a size difference here, and in what could be a really close chess match on the feet. I think the size and the power of Salakov, even the slight youth advantage, Salakov's not going to have a youth advantage over many guys. I just think Salakov has a lot more things going for him here. Sometimes Trinaldo can be tricky on the feet and like kind of lull these guys into close fights, but yeah, I just think Salakov's shots are going to be harder. He's going to be throwing the flashier strikes. Yeah, it's just hard for me to pick Trinaldo, but when I look at the line, by the way, I didn't even mention the line. Sorry about that. Salakov is about minus 250, I believe. Yeah, and Trinaldo plus 210. At the current line, like I could see this fight being close, but at the same time, I don't really want to take the shot on Trinaldo because he's 42 years old. I think his time can be coming. I don't like to move up in weight classes late in careers. Yeah, I mean, I'm just not interested. So I'm gonna go with Salakov. I'm gonna say he wins a unanimous decision. Moving on to the next fight, we got Tanner Boser. He's minus 190. He's taking on Alir Latifi plus one. My bad, actually. So a lot of money's coming in on Latifi. So Boser is only minus 175 now. Latifi plus 150. Yeah, I kind of get why the money's coming in on Latifi. I mean, Latifi has reached such a higher point in the sport than Tanner Boser, and I mean, is Latifi done? Like, I don't think he's done. Like, yeah, he's had a couple bad performances, and he's not looking the greatest. The move up to heavyweight, I don't know how to feel about it still. He looked fucking fat, let's be honest. But hey, that fight against Derek Lewis, like, I mean, if the Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis fight happened before Derek Lewis versus Alir Latifi, Derek Lewis would have been minus fucking 1,000 in that fight with Latifi. But you go and watch that Latifi Derek Lewis fight. Latifi was taking him down at will. Like there was just no resistance. Held him down almost the entire fight. It was just kind of these little moments Derek Lewis had on the feet that was able to win him that decision. And I mean, the thing is, we haven't seen much of Bozer's grappling in the UFC, so I'm just not sure. But I think that path is there for Latifi, and I'd be extremely surprised if Boser was just able to completely stuff any kind of grappling whatsoever with ease. Like I don't think that'll happen. Maybe the striking differential could be too much. Boser's a lighter guy. He moves a lot for the division. Maybe the footwork will be too much. Maybe it'll be hard for Latifi to set up the takedowns. All possibilities, but when you're looking at an underdog that has reached higher points in the sport, should have a big wrestling advantage. He's got power on the feet too. I don't know if it's some giant mismatch for Boser, and Boser was just kind of underwhelming, man. Like he can be low volume at times. Like the Arlovsky fight, I feel like it was a huge letdown because up until that point, he was kind of really handling these lower level guys, and then Arlovsky was the reasonable step up, and people will argue that was a robbery, but either way, like he has nobody to blame but himself. That was just an awful, awful fight. I'm not quite sold on Boser, man. And Latifi's a guy who has been top 10 in the UFC before. Granted, it was a different weight class, but I feel like this is a dog or pass situation. Do I want to bet on fat heavyweight Latifi? Probably not, because I mean, you look at that Derek Lewis fight. He pretty much did his fucking thing. He grappled the guy for 13 minutes in that fight and still found a way to lose. So it's like, I don't know. This fight's kind of messy. I'm down to just stay away. I'm gonna hope it goes over. I'm gonna fade this fight on DraftKings. I hope it's a low scoring affair, but we will see. It's heavyweight. You never know, but I'm not interested in it. My official pick. I can't pick Latifi. I really can't. Like I hate how he looks at heavyweight. Maybe he'll look better this time, but like man, he just looked like a big ball of shit. I was surprised that he performed somewhat well, but we'll see what happens. So moving on to the next fight, we got Montana De La Rosa taking on Ariane Lipski. De La Rosa minus 275, Lipski plus 235. This is the other half of my parlay with Mason Jones. I like Montana here, man, and I'm pretty high on. I don't want to say pretty high on Montana De La Rosa, but like, how do I word this? Like, so the big thing with me is I feel like maybe it's just in my mind. I thought she was going to go out there and get smoked, but like, I feel like she highly exceeded expectations in her last couple fights. Viviane Araujo, I felt like that was just a kind of a squash match where Montana would need to desperately grapple. Whereas you look at the stats, you see Montana De La Rosa landed more significant strikes than Araujo did in that fight. It was a pretty close fight. Montana actually even won won the third round, excuse me. And then the last one against Mayra Bueno Silva, where it went to a draw, like yeah, I get she was kind of holding on for dear life and like it wasn't looking good on the feet, but I mean, she's got that grappling, man, and she's got good experience. I think she's shown she belongs. Whereas Lipski, I'm just not sure she's proven that she belongs at the UFC level. Like her grappling is really fucking bad, dude. Like really bad. That chick Isabella DePadua, who came in on short notice. Like, yeah, she lost, but like she was having moments against Lipski. This complete like bum, like that looked like she came off the streets. Like no disrespect, but like Horrible look. Antonina Shevchenko, the bad Shevchenko with no grappling, out-grappled Lipski, subbed Lipski. Like, oh my God, it was just terrible. Now, do I think it's a lock? No. Lipski probably does have the striking advantage here. She's got the power advantage. She does hit pretty hard for a chick, and her boxing ain't terrible. It's just she's got a 40-something% takedown defense. She stuffs less than half of the takedowns attempted on her. The jiu-jitsu is not good. Just bad wrestling and groundwork. That's Montana's bread and butter. Horrible, horrible stylistic matchup for Lipski unless we see ridiculously dramatic improvements from Lipski. Montana is going to make this her fight. She's going to land takedowns, and she is probably going to take the back and sub Lipski. So, pretty high on Montana in this spot. 3 units on her in the parlay with Mason Jones, minus 124. Let's fucking go, Montana. So, moving on to the next one. Newly made fight. We got Mack, Juan, Amir, Connie taking on kamahwella, Kirk. Mack, Juan. So a lot of money's coming in on Kirk. We got Mack, Juan, Amir, Connie minus 189, kamahwella, Kirk plus 164. So with the way the line's going right now, there's going to be some value on kamahwella, Kirk in Draftkings, and I'm kind of interested in that just because honestly, like Mack, Juan, Amir Khani is a guy I've been looking to fade pretty much his entire UFC career. Like I'm not high on the cardio, I'm not high on the striking. He's a good grappler, absolutely, and I'll probably even pick him to win this fight via his grappling because, I did watch tape on Kirk, and I saw much lesser guys take him down, hold him down for periods of time. I know he is a black belt too, so like when I looked at kamahwella Kirk's Instagram, I'm like, oh shit, this dude's in way better shape. He put on some size. He's jacked. He got his black belt. Let's fucking go. Let's watch his recent fights. And then he was getting taken down by I forget the dude's name and held down for a little bit there. And I mean, if that's happening to you at the lower level, like 1 or 2 fights ago, what do you think Mack One and Mirkani is going to do? Especially when you're taking the fight on short notice. So yeah, Mack One absolutely should be the favorite here. Was there value on kamahwella Kirk? Probably at the plus 230 and the plus 200 he was sitting at, absolutely. But now it might be accurate now with the plus 164. Like, I just don't have faithful stuff, but we'll see what happens. It's just hard to say. UFC debut, a guy in Mack One Amir Khani who I'm high in certain areas of his skill set, and then I'm really low on certain areas of his skill set. So it's just a hard fight to call, but I will go with Mack One Amir Khani, even though I think kamahwella Kirk might be a good DraftKings punt. So moving on to the main card, we got Tom Breeze taking on Antonio Ahoyo. I mean, I feel like Tom Breeze is 100%, no doubts in my mind, the better fighter. It's just he's a quitter with no heart. So is Antonio Arroyo going to come out here and force the quit upon Tom Breeze? And I don't think he will. Where we've seen that quit come out of Tom Breeze has mostly been the grappling, and that's just not what Arroyo does. He is a fellow striker. He's going to come in here and give Tom Breeze the fight he wants. I think Tom Breeze has the way better hands, whereas Arroyo has the better kicks. It's like, is Arroyo going to come in here and leg kick him, make him quit with the leg kicks? Is he going to make him quit with a body kick? It's possible, but like one of the reasons I'm just so not about the taking the shot on Arroyo here is he can be really low volume. He's just sometimes he can accept a sparring match, and he doesn't have the greatest fight IQ, not the greatest cardio. It's just, yeah, is this a dog or pass situation at plus 210? Yeah, it probably is, man. But do I want to bet a fighter in Arroyo who I think is going to be gone out of the UFC in 2 years? No, I don't. Especially since I think Breeze is the much better guy, and Arroyo's going to give him the fight he wants. So it's like, yeah, I got Breeze here. If he quits again, that's embarrassing. I don't want to see him again. We'll see what happens. So moving on to the next fight, we got Dushko Tovlorovic taking on Gregory Robocop Rodriguez, making his UFC debut. We saw Gregory Rodriguez on Contender Series, got smoked knockout by Jordan Williams. But he did bounce back in the LFA, win a couple fights viciously, by the way, and even won that LFA strap. So he does get the short notice opportunity against Dushko. Dushko's original opponent was Maki Patolo. That would have been an interesting fight. I kind of like this one better, though, to be honest. Let's get Maki out of the UFC. I'm not a big fan of that dude. But anyway, yeah, this is a good fight just because like I see a lot of similarities. I think both guys are glass cannons. I think Dushko and Gregory Rodriguez both can fucking crack with the best of them. Dudes have big power, very dangerous. On the flip side, I think both guys are horrible defensively. Like we know Dushko fights with his hands down. We know RoboCop has no chin. Rodriguez is just kind of man. He's awkward in there, like not in a good way either. It's not pretty. It's definitely much prettier with Dushko. Dushko is at least offensively anyway. I think he's a lot more technical. I mean, fight smarter. We'll see what happens though. I think both guys are horrible defensively. Chinny. I mean, I don't want to call Dushko chinny, but let's be honest, he did get brutally knocked down in his last fight, so like the durability is at least a question mark. So I went a certain route in this fight. I bet on this fight. I put 3 units on the under 1.5 rounds. I mean, you look at the way these guys' fights have been going. I mean, they're both knockout artists who are willing to get knocked out to do their thing. So, I mean, I feel like both these guys are going to come in to crack. I feel like both guys hit very hard. Both guys are bad defensively. So, knockout waiting to happen. Under 1.5 rounds. Let's fucking go. As far as official pick, going with Dushko. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about betting Dushko just straight up as well. But I think I can pass from that and just kind of use him more as a DraftKings play. So I will definitely go with Dushko by knockout. I just think he's a lot better. But if he fights with his hands down against a guy who can crack with momentum as well, like I, I'd be worried. So yeah, I'll go with Dushko, but be careful. Next fight we got Santiago Ponzinibio taking on Miguel Baeza. Baeza minus 116. We're looking at a pretty close to a pick 'em here. Ponzinibio minus 104. Not gonna lie, I came very, very close to betting Miguel Baeza. And if he does hit plus money, I'm gonna have to reconsider again just because I feel like that might just be too good to be true. Um, I mean, plus money, that is what I would want because I almost feel like capping this fight is guessing how far gone Ponzinibbio is. Like, I think we can all fairly agree that if Miguel Baeza was coming up here against the Santiago Ponzinibbio that, butchered Neil Magny, Baeza would probably be in deep shit. However, that is not the Ponzinibbio we are dealing with. The dude went through the whole bacterial infection. We went through this last time Ponzinibbio fought, and we had questions for sure about him. Definitely causes for concern. Leach was a it was definitely a tough fight, but like it was a step down from the dudes Ponzi was fighting. Ponzi was fighting top 15 and Leach is kind of outside the top 15. So like it was a reasonable step down for Ponzi. It's not like he got right back in there with the killers. And yeah, I understand Leach hits hard, but Prime Ponzi takes care of Biz versus Lee the Leech Jing Liang. Now, is Miguel Baeza ready? I mean, yeah. I mean, I think he's really good. He's got 10 pro fights now. He's battled through adversity. He's shown a well-rounded skill set. He can crack. He's got good striking. Trains at a good gym. He's huge for the division. Kicks like a mule. I like Baeza. I think he's got top 10 potential for sure. It's just if Ponzi looks better this time than he did against Leach, we got a real competitive fight. However, I I just don't think that's going to be the reality. I think his durability is compromised now. He lost some size. The explosiveness wasn't there. He just didn't look like the same pawn. So it's like, am I really going to pick this guy that was off for years because he almost fucking died, came back, looked horrible? Am I going to really pick that guy versus an up and coming prospect who I mean, it's just checking all the boxes off the prospect checklist. Like, no, I'm not. I have to go with Baeza. I have to pick Baeza. Now, as far as betting Baeza, I mean, I just feel like in my brain I need plus money. So we'll see if we get the plus 100. If we do, I'll probably end up betting Baeza. But at the current line, I'm happy to just pick Baeza. I'm happy to play him heavy in Draftkings. So I will take him to win by second round knockout. But if we see a better version of Ponzi this time, he might teach this guy a lesson. So moving on. What's up to y'all in the live chat, by the way? Early weigh-in podcast, Jack, grateful dude. What's up? If you really like Zalal, look at the sub prop. Yeah, I mean, it's possible for sure. I'm just happy. I mean, he's already an underdog. You're already getting plus 160. I mean, I'm happy to just play it safe. But yeah, if you want to throw some lunch money on a prop like that, I can't blame you. So yeah, let's move on. We got Roman Dolidze taking on Laureano Staropoli. I mean, oh, the odds on this one. So a lot of money is coming in on Staropoli. We got Dolidze minus 135, Staropoli plus 115. I'm not high on either of these guys right now. I bet Roman Dolidze against Trevin Giles, and I was kind of disgusted by that performance, to be honest. And I know you can say, but it was close. It was a close fight. It was a split. He almost beat Giles. Guys, the only reason it was so close is because Giles was out there pulling stunts out of his ass. Like, if Giles went out there and fought smart, uh, he would have dominated that fight. Like, he was clearly better, clearly the better boxer. Dolidze really, I mean, that supposed ground game, he really had nothing for Giles. I get Giles is a good fighter, top 25 guy, and this is definitely a step down in Staropoli. And I mean, we got a former light heavyweight in Dolidze here taking on the former welterweight in Staropoli. You would think there might be a size difference. However, I mean, I think when you see these guys size up, I think there's a chance Staropoli looks like the bigger guy. He definitely grew out of welterweight. He's a big ass dude. The thing with this fight, it's very very messy. On the feet, Staropoli's going to have a volume advantage. He just moves better. He's faster. He's the better athlete. However, Roman Dolidze is really good at selecting his shots. Like when he does throw, it usually is pretty accurate. And it usually is pretty powerful. So like, and Staropoli's been hurt, so it's like I'm not ruling out Dolidze by knockout at all. Um, like his striking, like yeah, I mentioned his volume's not good, but like his striking IQ is good because like when he does strike, like his placement is just good. He throws intelligent strikes, and it's funny that I think his striking IQ is good because when it comes to his ground IQ, it's pretty fucking awful. Like the things this guy does, like I don't know if it's just a false sense of confidence that he thinks he's the baddest motherfucker on the map, but I mean, some of those leg locks he goes for, it's not the brightest at all. However, I mean, maybe Staropoli is a guy he can pull it off against. We will see. I just think there's a lot of different things that could happen in this fight. Like on the feet, I think it's the more powerful, accurate strikes of Dolidze versus the volume of Staropoli. As far as the wrestling and the grappling, I could see Roman getting takedowns. I could see Staropoli stuffing. I could see Roman Dolidze getting one of those leg locks. I could see Staropoli reversing it and getting on top and bashing this dude. So it's like a lot of different ways I could see this fight going. I get the money that's been coming in on Staropoli. I want to say Dolidze opened up a huge favorite. Let's see if I can find it. He opened. Oh, that can't be right. Did Dolidze really open the underdog? Okay, so on Bet Online it says Dolidze opened plus 130, but on 5 Dimes it says Dolidze opened minus 175. I thought it was minus 175 in my book too, but either way, if you were getting Staropoli at plus 150, plus 140, I get it. I think it's probably accurate now. I will go with Roman to take a close split decision. Something about those Georgians, they just have that extra level, and I feel like Staropoli might have a little bit more growing to do. Not only that, like we're talking about moving weight classes here. Roman Dolidze already had that first cut to 185. Like already had that first cut to 185 against Giles, fought a full 15 minutes as a 185er. This will be his second appearance there, whereas Staropoli, this will be his first fight at the new weight class. So it's just like these little things. It's a tough fight to call. I'm just maybe I'm looking into certain things too much, but I feel good about picking Star or close decision. So moving on to the next one, co-main event of the evening, Walt Harris taking on Tibeora, Marcin Tibeora. Tabiora is minus 175, Walt Harris plus 150. I mean, it's a heavyweight fight. Both guys are kind of right around that 15 mark in the rankings, at least I think. Yeah, I mean, this could be a close fight. You got to give advantages to both guys in a heavyweight fight. Like, I'm just immediately drawn to a plus 150. We know Walt Harris can be, we know he can crack. Of course, he's probably got to do it early. And guys, it wasn't that all long ago that Tibeora was knocked out, what, like 3 fights within a 4-fight span? I know he's on a nice streak right now, but I mean, let's refresh our memories on who he's beaten recently. I don't think any of these guys he's beaten recently are quite as dangerous as Walt Harris. Sergey Spivak, he's a grappler, and Tabiora beat him at his own game. Maxime Grishin, he's a light heavyweight with no grappling. Tabiora was able to do his thing there. Ben Rothwell, the slowest man. Yeah, bad fight. Greg Hardy. I mean, yeah, Greg Hardy can crack, but he's not as seasoned as Walt. We know Greg Hardy is still a little green. Walt Harris has been around the block. He's knocked out a lot of people. And I think this line could be a little bit of recency bias just because Tibiora's on a streak. Walt Harris just lost his last 2, but like, who did Walt Harris just lose his last 2 to? Fucking Alistair Overeem, where he almost finished Alistair, by the way, early. He just kind of gassed out and got smoked. It happens with Walt. You know, the gas tank ain't the greatest. We can talk about that right now. And then Alexander Volkov. Ever since Volkov put on some weight and been weighing in at 265 pounds, he looks like a new man. He's a fucking beast. And he smoked Walt. But, I mean, shit. Volkov would absolutely smoke Tibeora too. So it's like, big deal. It's a tough one to call, man. It's just kind of all about, can Walt get this early knockout? There's a good chance he does. And if he doesn't, Tibeora is probably going to take over with the grappling. I mean, I feel like this is kind of a simple breakdown. I mean, Walt just needs to see. The thing is, okay, so I look at Walt Harris' record and I see he does have a lot of second round knockouts. So it's not necessarily it's not like a foregone conclusion that he gasses out after the first round. You do have to make him work for sure. So it's just kind of all about, it's tough to, I'm not going to act like I'm some genius on this fight. This is a very tough, sloppy heavyweight fight to call. But it's pretty obvious where both guys' advantages lie here. And I just think plus 150 would be the side in a heavyweight fight like this. So I will actually come out and pick Walt Harris to win by knockout, but I'm not confident enough to bet him. So moving on to the main event of the evening, we got Jarzinio Rosenstrike taking on Augusto Sakai. It's pretty much a dead pick'em. Rosenstrike minus 116, Sakai minus 104. This is a difficult one to pick. Yeah, something about Sakai striking, like I thought it was better than it was up until the Blagoy Ivanov fight, where I went huge on Sakai in that fight. I thought he was just gonna torch Sakai on the feet. Maybe not torch, but like dominate for 3 rounds. And man, like he could be really sloppy. Like defensively, it's not good. I feel like the Overeem fight made people think Sakai's striking is a lot better than it really is, because Overeem just did that shit where he shells up against the cage. But man, I'm not that crazy high on the skills of Augusto Sakai. I just think like, yeah, he hits hard. Yeah, he's fucking massive. He's just not that special to me. Whereas Jarzinio Rosenstrike, I do think he's the cleaner kickboxer. I do think he hits even harder. I mean, Jarzinio's shown to have that death touch in the past. I do think he can hurt Augusto Sakai. And like, no, I've seen nobody mention this, but like the way Alistair Overeem beat Sakai was very brutal. good ground and pound. Like he took a lot of damage in that fight. We'll see how he looks in the return. Um, Whereas Rosenstrike in his main event against Cyril Gahn, it was kind of like he wasn't taking any risks against Gahn. He was just happy to sit back and get outstruck for 5 rounds. It wasn't a good look for sure, but at least he didn't take that crazy damage. I don't know, man. I do give Rosenstrike the advantage on the fee here, although it's heavyweight. Either guy can crack. I'm just a little worried. Like Sakai has a lot of weight to him. He's a huge guy. I have seen him land takedowns in the past. I want to say it was the Chase Sherman fight where he wrestled. I feel like it would be wise of Augusto Sakai to wrestle here because we've seen holes in Jarzinio's game there in the past. And like if he can get on top of Jarzinio, put some of that weight on him, tire him out a little bit, like take how you just lost for Augusto Sakai, turn that into a lesson learned, and come out here and do it to this guy. So it could be a situation like that. We see that all the time where a fighter will lose in a certain area, they'll work on it so much, and then it'll look better the next fight. So it's like maybe Sakai comes out here and puts the wrestling on Jarzinho. We don't know. We will see. But I tend to lean with Jarzinho Rosenstrike. I'm just not crazy confident, I'll be honest, but Rosenstrike will be my pick. So, got through all 14 fights. We're going to look at this DraftKings slate real quick. Mason Jones, 9,500. I will say that is worth it. I do expect him to get a finish here. Could be the second round, could be the third. Either way, I see him putting it on Alan Patrick. And even in a losing effort, he put up 56 points against Mike Davis last fight, who's a much better fighter. So it's like, yeah, Mason Jones can probably put up some points. Mack Amir Connie. I mean, anytime I think somebody has a chance to dominate with the grappling, I mean, you got to stick them in some lineups. So even though it's 9,400 and I won't have them in a whole lot, I think you got to stick Mack Amir Connie in some lineups. Montana, De La Rosa. See, I'm just more confident in Montana in general than Mack Amir Connie. So even though Montana is cheaper, I will have way more shares of Montana De La Rosa than Mack Amir Connie. I feel like her fight is much, much more favorable. So 9,300, I think she's very worth it. I feel like she dominates Lipsky with the grappling. Tom Breeze, 9,200. I have a hard time seeing Tom Breeze finishing this fight. I think it would be more of a decision. You look at some of Tom Breeze's scores in the past. I mean, his decision win against Kaida Nakamura, only 70 points. That's been his only decision win in the UFC. So at 9,200, I'm gonna say Tom Breeze is not worth it. Muslim Salikov, 9,100. Trinaldo's got a chin on him, so you'd be foolish to just bank on Salikov getting that knockout, but it's possibilities there. So I'll have like one Salikov lineup, but if he doesn't get that knockout, I just think it's going to be kind of a low volume, 15-minute striking chess battle. Jordan Levitt, I mean, big grappling upside, so 9,000. Yeah, I'll say it's worth it. Tanner Boser, 8,900. I hate Boser for DraftKings. He did score really high in the Felipe Lins fight where he knocked out Lins in what was that? It was like seconds, wasn't it? Nobody was expecting someone to get knocked out in that fight, and yeah, I mean, could he knock out Latifi? Maybe, but I just kind of see either Latifi pulling off the upset here, or this kind of being Tanner Boser just outstriking him for 3 rounds where not a whole lot of points are scored. So I'm not crazy about Boser and DraftKings. Woodson, 8,800. I mean, y'all know I'm big on Zalal as a dog here, so I won't have a whole lot of Woodson. Even if he wins, I don't even think he's going to score that high. So I might only have like one Woodson lineup. If not, maybe even just a complete fade on DraftKings. Tibeora, 8,700. I think there's a good chance he comes out and grapples Walt. So, I mean, and it's a heavyweight fight. You definitely got to have some shares of Tibeora. Dushko Todorovic, 8,600. I mean, that's going to be one of my biggest plays right there. I feel like he will knock out the Brazilian early. Manon Fierro, 8,500. I mean, obviously, with the new opponent, she's minus 500. There's a lot of value on Fierro, 8,500. So, yeah, I mean, people will be playing her. I feel like you almost need to because, I mean, quite frankly, she probably will swarm this girl in the feet. So, could be a lot of points there. Delidze 8,400. Man, this slate is tough, man, because a lot of these fighters do have the ceiling to get a finish. Like I do think Delidze could either knock out or sub Staropoli, but in my head, I see this fight going the distance. So I don't know. I don't know. I this is like my first time thinking about how I want my ownership to go for this card, but I'll say I'm gonna try to go underweight to Dolidze on DraftKings. I'll probably only have him in a couple lineups. Baeza 8,300. I'm about that. I will be playing Baeza heavy on DraftKings. I do think he knocks out Ponzi. Rosenstrike Sakai are the middle ground fight on the DraftKings slate. Jarzinio 8,200, Sakai 8,000. Um, I mean, Sakai, I'd be pretty fucking shocked if Sakai came out and knocked out Rosenstrike early or just piled up a fuck ton of points. So I do like Rosenstrike better. I feel like he has more KO upside. However, if Rosenstrike doesn't get that knockout and we just see a 5 round heavyweight fight, it could be extremely low scoring. Like this might be one of the cards where you can be happy fading the main event. So that's mostly what I'll do, but I'll have a few Rosenstrikes. Ponzinibio 7,900. I'm pretty solid on Baeza, so I'll probably only have like one Ponzi lineup. Staropoli. I'm pretty sure Staropoli won't finish Delidze. I feel like if Staropoli wins, it's more just a volume-based decision, so I'm not really interested in him. Would much rather play Gregory Rodriguez 7,600 because he's an underdog that if he wins, it's probably going to be by first or second round knockout. So I think Rodriguez is a good DraftKings play, especially for tournaments. Walt Harris, 7,500. Again, an underdog that if he wins, it's going to be an early knockout. So Walt Harris is a good tournament play. Yusuf Salal, 7,400. He's an underdog who I am picking to win via wrestling. So I like Yusuf Salal a lot in DraftKings. Latifi, 7,300. I mean, looking at Latifi's scores, like the guy really only scores high when he gets a first round finish. You look at some of the decision wins, 66, 83. Like it's not good. And I'd be surprised if he finished Bozer in the first round. So, but then again, he's 7,300. How many points do you need? This is tough. I'll have Latifi in like two lineups, something like that. Claudio Puelis, 7,200. I mean, yeah, he's a punt that could be worth it. He's a kid that could just show up completely better this time. So just in case it happens, I'd like to have my one or two lineup share. Trinaldo. I mean, Trinaldo scores like shit, dude. Unless he's knocking the guy out, of course, but I'd be surprised if he knocked out Salikov. So looking at Trinaldo's decision win scores, 52 in a win, 50 in a win. The Alex Hernandez fight, he should have won. It would have been 40 points. 72 points against Jim Miller in a decision win. So you're catching my drift. Like, even though he's 7,100, there's totally a chance that even if Trinaldo wins, like he might not even be on the optimal lineup. So I think I'm completely fading Trinaldo on DraftKings. Arroyo, he's 7,000 and there's a chance he breaks Tom Breeze. So I'll have one or two Arroyo lineups. Lipsky, 6,900. Based on how confident I am in De La Rosa, I might just completely fade Lipsky. And kamahwella Kirk, 6,800. This is easily my favorite play when you get down to the 7,200 and under range. kamahwella Kirk, I feel like has that striking path. I feel like he does have that cardio advantage. So 6,800, especially when the guy's only like plus 160 now at the betting line. I think there's a lot of value in kamahwella Kirk on DraftKings. And then finally at the bottom, Alon Patrick, 6,700. Now, Alon Patrick, I can at least say if he wins, it'll be by grappling and he'll get those grappling points. However, I have 6 units on Mason Jones, so you can probably imagine my confidence level on Alon Patrick. It's close to nothing. So I'll be fading Alon Patrick as well. Got through the DraftKings slate. tell y'all my bets one more time. So the Mason Jones, I got 3 units on him in the distance at plus 110. 3 units on him in a parlay with Montana De La Rosa minus 124. 3 units on an underdog shot, Yusuf Salah plus 160. And 3 units on the Todorovic Rodriguez fight under 1.5 rounds plus 100. That's going to do it for me, guys. I appreciate you very much. Jimmy the Drunk, what's up, bro? Bozer at 8.9K will be under 10% owned. Yeah, probably. All right. Bet online always fucking up open odds. You're damn right they do. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all on next week's. Next week's we got a hell of a pay-per-view. I'm excited for that one. So I'm out of here. Peace. Deuces.